New Yorkers, welcome to Dorie Clark Week. I'm Olive Hoy, your host. Monday, how to find your breakthrough idea if you have more than one passion. Tuesday, how to build and grow your email list. Wednesday, how to structure your day and year to be more productive. Thursday, networking as an introvert, how to talk about yourself. Friday, how to blog for high-profile publications and create other social proof. Monday to Friday, February 27th to March 3rd. Happy Friday. Hello, everyone. Welcome to New York Zoom Dorie Clark Week, Friday edition. I'm Olive Hoy. If you have never checked out my channel before, it's New York Real TV. I have a lot of interviews, field trips, New York Real Fit, you name it. Go ahead and subscribe if you like this video. I'm going to introduce Dorie one more time on Friday. This is Dorie Clark. She's a marketing strategist, an author, speaker. She's an expert in coaching others to be an expert. So welcome back to Friday. Dorie, today I want to talk about writing, blogging, because that was my biggest obstacle. I thought I couldn't write anything until I took your course, How to Be a Recognized Expert course, and I decided to sign up on Medium. I, in fact, signed up a while ago, but I haven't written anything. So I went back there and saw that I have 112 followers, but no articles. They were all like often from maybe Twitter because
your fans are waiting, Olive. They're like, bring it.
Because I like going to fitness classes and I enjoy the urban escapes in New York City. So I wrote about 10 places, 10 urban escapes in New York City. And then I thought, oh, what if I can actually blog for publications that are well known or, apparel companies? And this is very important. Can you share with us the tips on how to blog for high-profile publications?
Yeah, absolutely, Olive. So one of the things that's most important in becoming a recognized expert is having a steady stream of content creation. I mean, in fact, in terms of the methodology that I've developed based on interviewing hundreds of experts in their fields, I've come to realize that fundamentally there are three things that you need to do in order to become a recognized expert. First, you have to create content. Second, you need to develop social proof, which is just a fancy term for credibility. And then the third piece is that you need to build a strong network. And so when it comes to content creation, the reason this is so essential is that fundamentally it's, at a really basic level, if you do not let people know what your ideas are, then you can't be recognized for them. It's not a mystery. Just people don't know. So you have to get the ideas out there first before people can say, "Oh, she's making a lot of sense. I should listen to more of what she's doing. I should subscribe to her channel, et cetera, et cetera." Now, the place where social proof and content creation come together is writing for high-profile publications, because not only are you sharing your ideas, you are also doing it in a place that, because it's well known to other people, it will give you more credibility because you are associated with that brand. So for me, I write regularly still for the Harvard Business Review, at least 2 or 3 times a month. For 3.5 years, I wrote for Forbes very, very regularly. I've done probably well over 250 posts for them. And so those were things that were very useful for my social proof. Now, the way that you get to this, you don't necessarily start there unless you just have some dumb luck, like your, college roommate became an editor there or something, right? Most of us don't have that. The way that you do it is by following something that is known as the ladder strategy. And so you basically just kind of ladder up incrementally. So the first starting point is creating your own blog. Now, I mean, it could be off of your website, or it could these days be on LinkedIn or Medium or something like that. Pretty easy. The structure is there as long as you can, do Microsoft Word, you can blog. So there's no technical excuses, but you start writing a few things. And the reason you need that is that no one is going to want to publish you if they don't have a sense of what your voice and your writing style is like. So you need to have at least a few clips, quote unquote, examples of your work. Exactly. So that people can see. So you start out there. And then after that, then you want to try to ladder up to places of increasing prestige. So what you should ideally do is make a list of all the places that you would love to be featured by. And the ones that are nationally known publications are probably, they're at the top of the ladder. So they're, you don't want to approach them right away. You want to sort of build up your track record. But maybe you go from having your own thing on LinkedIn to saying, oh, okay, well, maybe my company has a newsletter, or maybe my professional association has a blog, or something along those lines, and you do a little bit more here, a little bit more there. Then okay, so I've been published there. Maybe my regional business journal has opportunities where they publish op-eds. Maybe my local paper could do something. And so ideally, by the time you get to the place where you are approaching your ultimate desired goal, and this is not something that has to take 10 years. I mean, for sure, you can probably do it in a matter of a year or something. I mean, it's not a huge thing, but you just need time to get the clips. But by the time you're approaching whatever is the equivalent of the Harvard Business Review in your field, the places that you have written for are things that they have heard of, so that they can see, oh, okay, this person has sort of built their way up. I mean, it's like in baseball, for instance. It is extremely rare for someone to go from college or high school right into the major leagues. You don't do that. You play single A ball, then you play double A ball, then you play triple A ball. And then if you're a good prospect in triple A ball, the majors start to look at you. And so similarly, the editors at business publications, they are looking to, oh, have you written for the triple A equivalent? The sort of next ladder down of prestige. And if you have, then they say, oh, good, okay, this person's been reasonably pre-vetted by that. Let me take a look. Maybe I'll give her a chance.
Is it normal to you that it is to me, it takes longer time to edit than to write it?
Yeah, I think everybody has a slightly different approach and a style to it. But I'll say early on, if you feel uncomfortable with your writing, like if it's not something you particularly like or feel good about, it can be really useful to have an external set of eyes on your piece. So maybe that's a friend that you have that's really good at writing. Maybe in the early days, you actually pay a professional to edit a few pieces, but make sure that they're not just doing it on their own and handing it back to you, but instead you're talking about it on the phone and they're walking you through and they say, here's the reason why I did this and suggested that, so that you can understand their rationale and learn more about the writing process through seeing why they did what they did. Those are some good initial steps that you can take in terms of editing. So yeah, I think it varies. I mean, for me, I actually, in my writing process, probably spent the majority of my time. The first thing is thinking about the outline of the piece. I try to have a really well-developed outline before I even put pen to paper, because for me, having the structure in my head in a very clear way makes it easier and faster for me to just write it out. And then once I've written it, I do minimal editing. I'll go back and a really good exercise for anybody is to read your piece aloud, because if it sort of trips you coming off your lips, then you realize like, oh, I guess that is a little awkward, or maybe, oh, that's a sentence fragment and I didn't realize it. Like reading it aloud helps shine a light on some of the problems in your text. But I don't spend a lot of time on editing. Partly that's just dispositionally, because I'm like, oh, that's good enough.
Because you have a journalist background.
Yeah, exactly.
Second nature.
I'm not a perfectionist. I'm like,
I think you are, though. Your standard is high enough. So I do think that you write like how you talk.
Yeah.
And that's important. And I think that reading out loud would definitely help to see if that's natural. So
and I would like everyone to write like they talk. I mean, not to be too dictatorial here, but I mean, it's not fun for anyone to read stuff that is stilted and, just like way too academic or formal. That's not pleasant. That's not nice. I mean, of course, there's some stylistic things that you're going to be aware of in terms of writing prose. I mean, you want it to be formal enough so you're not like using street slang or something, but it should sound like a person talking. And if it doesn't, there's something wrong with it. I mean, college messes people up because we read too much Derrida and Foucault and we think that's how the world should be. And that is absolutely not how the world should be. So I think we need to just be a lot more conversational in our approach. And I think that would make our writing more fun to write and more fun to read.
I also wanted to tell you that I admire your writing style, not only that it's easy to digest, there's always a little twist, or it's not obvious to me what it is about in the beginning. How did you hide a treasure? I said that because I read a piece that is political, and I remember reading the title. I was like, oh, what does it mean? Oh, is it good or bad? And I went in and I read the whole thing, and you define all the words. First of all, let's clarify this is what people think, and this is actually how you could also look at it. And I like that you hide some treasure at the end. So at the end you finish, you're like, I'm glad I read it and not assume.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. There's a fine line to walk, of course, right? Because you don't want to be so obscure in the beginning that people are like, "What is this piece about?" Like, blah. They get bored and they don't even want to read it. But I do think that it's nice if you are able to reward a reader who gets all the way to the end. In one of our earlier conversations, you mentioned our mutual friend James Altucher, who I think does a lovely job of that. I mean, he always has a nice ending. But for me, I think back on a college professor that I had, and the course itself, in some ways, it was a poetry class, was a little annoying to me because he literally never defined this. Like, I don't know if this was a pedagogical trick. And he was really like, oh no, you kids need to figure this out yourself. Or if he just was like somehow not a good enough teacher to like really explain what he meant. But it was like this Zen koan that I had to unravel for myself. He would just say over and over again, like a mantra. He would say, a poem should begin in surprise and end in delight. And, WTF, dude? Like, where are we going here? But I thought about it, and I realized that actually he is correct. I wished he had defined it, but I did figure out what he meant. And I for the sake of our viewers, I will tell you what I think he means by that. In the comments section, you can write what you think he means by it. But basically, the way that I interpreted it is that a really good poem, it begins in surprise, meaning it kind of jolts you in its opening lines. Like, it can't just be banal. It can't just be like, the dandelions were yellow. It's like, well, yeah, fucking of course they're yellow. Like, where are we going? That's boring. That's boring. You need something to give you a reason to keep reading, and that's the surprise. But then you want to reward the careful reader at the end. You want to give them something to think about as they're leaving. It's like, well, why did I just invest the time in this poem? What does this poem mean? If it just sort of stays in this kind of, reductive, like, boom, 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 like, here's the description. It's not very rewarding. You want to delight the reader by giving them a little prize, like a little lagniappe at the end. They're just like, oh, I'm going to ponder that for a while. And so if you can incorporate that, that is a win.
Yes. Wow. I didn't think we would get into writing advice, but that is so good. I love it. Besides writing, there's public speaking. You mentioned TED Talk, writing books. Like, I just can't wait to apply all the knowledge. I think that 2017 is a great time to implement everything.
Absolutely. You're the rooster, man. We're doing it.
I have one more question for you, but before that, I want to remind Nia Rila that there's such a great 42 pages self-assessment quiz that is free. So you can go there after this video, answer the questions, and it will take you from, having no idea, finding your breakthrough idea, to the end goal, like how to become recognized in your field. It's going to be on dorieclark.com/olive. To go back to the beginning, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why we need to become a recognized expert. I know life is short. I know we are adults. We're making decisions. We're living life. Like, what is really the motivation for you and for people that are learning from you? Why is it Why is it better?
Yeah, it's an important question. I mean, some people may have no desire to become a recognized expert, but I would argue that a lot of people either do want to be recognized experts or should want to be recognized experts. And here is why. If you want to make any kind of an impact, if you want to make a social change, or if you want to make art and have that art be heard, if you want to be successful professionally, who wants to be the tree in the forest? We live in a crowded and noisy world. We all know, we all experience this, right? Everyone's a publisher now. Everybody's got a vlog. Everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got a blog and a social media channel. We are being bombarded with information. And as a result of that, they don't know what to listen to. They're tuning out because there's just way too much to deal with. And the problem with that, I mean, it's wonderful. Of course, you can access anything you want, but if there's everything around you, in some ways that's the equivalent of there being nothing around you because you just can't take it in. And the problem is that there are a lot of very talented people in the world. We all know people like this. They're an amazing musician. They're an incredible painter. They're a talented designer. Whatever their craft is, they're amazing at it. And no one is listening. No one is hearing what they are doing because there's just too much. And to me, that's sad because if there's something great out there, I want people to know about it. It's sad because you want their art to have an impact. You want them to be able to have a sustainable enough business that they can keep doing that. I mean, you can't keep being an unknown musician for 30 years. Like, you can't pay your bills that way. You need to get traction, not just so you can do the thing you care about, but so you can survive and sustain yourself and have a good life doing the thing that you care about. And in order to do that, you cannot just wish and hope. There are far too many people that take that approach, either because they think that's just like the only option, or because of this kind of cultural myth that we have of like, oh, the cream rises to the top, true talent will be recognized. Well, motherfucker, no, it won't, because we are just too busy and pulled in too many directions these days. If you do not intervene on your behalf, if you do not take decisive action to get yourself heard, you will not be heard. And I consider that a travesty. So I think we all need to become recognized experts. I mean, what do I mean by that? Basically, it just means other people get it that you're good. Other people get it that you're talented. And if we have that, then you're able to have an audience. You're able to have an impact. You're able to make a good living. And I think that's something that we all, or at least most of us, want to have. And that is why I think it's so important to become a recognized expert.
Yes. And listening to you talk, I feel like you not only own it to yourself, you do it for the creatives among yourself. I have moments that when I'm down, when I don't feel like I'm motivated to do anything, but I think about all the inspiring people around me, like yourself. And I think about my family. I think about my grandfathers. We are here to do something, to make an impact, to continue this journey. Thank you so much, Dorie. That hit home.
Thank you, Olive. Always.
That's a great quote. So guys, go take the quiz. It's free, 42 pages of awesome. And let us know what you think, because we really want to hear from you, to know what you want to know more about, how to become a recognized expert in your field. What are your obstacles? How we can help you overcome that. And I'm very excited to present Dorie Clark Week. It's a wrap.
Thanks, Olive.
Thank you. DorieClark.com/Olive. See you there.
Here we are again, another shattered dream. You know I have it in me to give you what you want, but time and time again, you make me watch you leave. Another poison letter, when I know just what you mean. And you must know by now, you're all that I want. And you must know by now, you're all that I want. It's times like these that hurt so much, when your heart beats loud and you're out of trust. I don't know how we've come this far, not finding who we are. Never gonna love without you, never gonna fade away. Can we get this shit together and heal our